Welcome back to the class, guys, and I hope you guys are doing pretty good. So we are in the logic building module, and in today's class, we will be solving a very interesting interview question. This particular question was asked recently for the company FNZ, okay? And over here, this coding question is a very interesting one. So how exactly this class is going to happen, I'm going to explain you the entire problem statement, and then I will be writing the code. I want you guys to observe how I have written the code, and then you will be practicing the same at your end. Okay? So let's get started. The question over here is minimum character replacement for no adjacent duplicates. Minimum character replacement for no adjacent duplicates. Now, firstly, I want to tell that this is a very important question. Okay? I think in coming months, you are going to see a similar kind of questions being asked in your coding rounds. Now, the problem statement says that you are given a list of words, okay? For each word, determine the minimum number of character replacement required. So, we need to determine the minimum number of character replacement which is required so that no two adjacent characters are same. You may replace any character with any other character. So we don't have to do the replacement. We are supposed to talk about the minimum number of character replacement which is going to be required. Okay? You are supposed to return an array where each element represents the number of replacement needed for that word. Okay? Now, over here, the input is AB, AAB, ABAB, ABAB, and what is this? AB, AAABA. Okay? So, we have been given a array of strings. And then the output should be something like this, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. Now, what exactly this thing is, understand. See, guys, when you look at AB, this is the first string, okay, AB. Now, over here, when you look at the string, both the characters, are they same or they different? They are different, right? So, since they are different, we don't need to do any replacement. Make sense? It is A and B. These characters are not same. So, we really don't need to do any replacement. So, the output should be 0. 0 indicates ki baba, both the characters or the characters are already unique. No character is getting repeated over there. Okay. And you really don't need to do any replacement. Okay. The next one which we have over here is AAB. Okay, it's going to be AAB. Now, when you're looking at A and B, what do you notice? Over here, guys, this A and this A, they are same. They're adjacent and technically they have the same characters, right? So, over here, we need to do a replacement because the question says minimum character replacement for no adjacent duplicates. Here, A and A, they are adjacent and they are duplicate, like they are the same characters. So, over here we are supposed to do some replacement. But how many replacements are going to happen? Okay, I can replace this AXB. Okay, AXB. So, over here, either you replace AXB or AXAB, whatever you want. So, over here, what is going to happen? We need to replace one character. Okay, one change is going to be required. So this one indicates ki baba, in order to make these three characters unique, I am supposed to make one change. So the output should be 1. Observe over here, we have ABB, ABB. Here also I am supposed to do some replacement, right? So I can make a replacement here or I can make a replacement here. But these two characters, one of the character needs to be changed over here. So here also the output is going to be 1. Perfect. Then look, AB, AB. So AB, are they unique? Yeah, they are not duplicate. So they are adjacent to each other and they are technically unique characters. The next A, this BA also is unique. Okay, this BA is also unique. So over here, we don't need to do any change here also. Then we have this B, AB. So over here also I don't need to do any change. Adjacent means what? The next character. You just observe the next character. A, B, they are unique, no change required. B, A, this is unique, no change required. A, B, this is unique, no change is required. So the output is going to be 0. Are you getting the point? Now we have this chap over here, which is A, B, A, B, A. So over here, A, B, A, B, A. So when you look at this particular stuff, you will notice these two adjacent, okay, they are different characters. We don't need to worry about it. B, A, this is also fine, okay, because the two characters are different. Now, over here, we have this and this. So over here, there is one change that can be done over here. Similarly, here also, there is going to be the same character popping up. Now, the minimum number of change that is going to be required over here is I just need to make a different character over here in the between of these AAA. Na? I just change the middle character. So over here, if I just change this, okay, to let's say X over here, you will notice that all the adjacent characters are different. AB, BA, AX, XA, then AB, BA. They are not the repeating characters happening over here. So over here, we just need to make one change, not two changes. Are you getting the point? So this is what the interviewer wants us to achieve. Okay. Now, the program over here is pretty simple. It's not a difficult program. What we will be doing now, we will look into this array, okay, later on, but we will just take one string first and we will try to ensure that in that particular string, the adjacent characters are not repeating. Perfect. So this is what we will try to do now. So let's go to our logic building exercise and I'm going to quickly create a new class. Let's call this particular class, let's give this class a name. I'm going to call this minimum character replacement in a string. Okay, that's the name of the class. Okay, minimum character replacement in a string. I'm going to introduce the main method, of course, Control Shift F. Let's zoom in now. And over here, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to have this string input. And let's say the input over here is going to be AA. Let's keep AA first. So we know that when we will be having two characters which are going to be same and they are adjacent to each other, there is going to be a replacement required. Now, the number of replacement is going to be taken care by a variable over here which I'll create called count. So count is going to take care of the total number of replacement required. It's not talking about the character, it's talking about the number of replacement that we need. Okay. Now, what we need to do over here is we need to traverse this particular string and check the characters. Okay. For that, guys, what we will be doing, okay, I am going to have a special variable over here. Let's call this as index. Okay. And index is going to be initialized with 1. Okay. Now, when you look at this particular string, AA, right? String is what? Series of characters. Okay. Every character is going to have a particular index, right? So this, the first A which you see is technically on the 0th index. This is going to be on the first index. So the I or the index that I have created, okay, is technically initialized to 1 so that it points to this chap. What we will be doing now, we will be comparing this particular character with its previous one. with its previous one. Okay, I can definitely do it with the help of 0 and 1 also, but I will focus on comparing the current character with the previous one. So if this is index, okay, is 1, so what is going to be this? This is going to be index minus 1, right? So what we will be doing is we will be comparing the character which is at index position with the character at index minus 1. Okay. Now, how will I get this stuff? It's very simple. See, I'm going to say if input dot character at index, okay, equal to input dot character at index minus 1. Okay. So this index variable is not created. I just need to do it over here. Index equal to 1. Okay. So over here, I have written a conditional statement input. From this particular string, I am going to get the character at the index 1. What is that character? A. I'm going to compare A character with the character which is going to be at index minus 1. Input dot character at index minus 1. 1 minus 1, that is going to be 0. What is the character which is there on the 0th index? That is also A. A equal to A. These two adjacent characters are same. So meaning a replacement needs to be done. Okay. And because there is going to be a replacement, count is going to technically take care of that, like the total number of replacement which is required. So I'm just going to say count equal to count plus 1. That hey, I need to do some replacement over here. I'm just going to say a replacement required. Okay. This is what I've written. Now, if I go outside this conditional statement and I simply say system.out.println count, okay, let's click on the play button. You will notice that I'm getting 1. Okay, we got 1 over here, and 1 is technically the answer that hey, 1 replacement needs to be done, okay, to make sure that the two characters are not seen. Okay, they're not repeating. Now, the thing is, this particular program is going to work properly till the time you just have two characters. Okay, but what if there are going to be, I would say, 3 A's popping up over here? Okay, so over here, what we need to do then? See, we have A popping up. Perfect. So let's rub this particular stuff for a moment. A. This is going to be the 0th index, first, second. Perfect. This is your index. Okay. Now, index is going to be compared with index minus 1. So this part we have already taken care. You know that count is going to be incremented. Perfect. Count is going to be incremented. But we also need to check for this chap now. You also need to check for this chap. Meaning I need to increment the index. I need to increment the index. So over here, this increment of index needs to be taken care on an iteration basis. So what we will be doing is we will be having a while loop over here. I'm just going to simply say while index is going to be less than the maximum value of index, okay, can be 2, right? Can be 2. If I ask you what is the length of this particular string, what are you going to say? It is going to be 3, right? So I'm going to say index is going to be less than input dot length. Okay. So index needs to be less than 3. It can be 0, it can be 1, it can be 2. So I need to keep on doing something over here, which is this. I need to keep on checking the adjacent characters. Now, over here, if count is technically getting incremented, it means that there was a replacement which was required. The next thing, what I need to do is I need to increment the index. But index is going to be incremented by what? Over here, if you observe carefully, if I ask you what will be the minimum number of replacement required over here? If you have this AAA character, what is the minimum number of replacement that is going to be required? I just need to change the character which is there in the middle position over here. Okay. So over here, if I just make it ABA, everything is sorted. Minimum number they are asking. Okay. So if the middle character is getting changed or it's going to be a different character, everything is sorted. I don't need to do like this. If I'm trying to change it over here, I still have like two characters which are duplicate. They are getting repeated over here. So over here, only in the center I am supposed to make the change. Okay, and that is going to be the count. One change I need to do, the bare minimum change. So if I am making the change correctly, 0, 1 and 2, two indexes are getting sorted. Like 3 indexes are technically sorted off over there. So over here, index, okay, when the replacement happens, cannot be index equal to index plus 1. Because if you're going to do that, what is going to happen? Let me just write it down over here properly. Index equal to index plus 1. What is going to happen? Once the change is happening, you will be focusing on this second character, right? This character which is there on the second index. And then you will compare this with this chap. So there is an extra step that you are putting. Once the replacement has happened, index needs to jump from its current position to third position. So index is going to be index plus 2. Okay. Index is going to become index plus 2, not 1. Are you getting the point over here? Okay. So this is what it is. So if I'm going to save this and if I'm going to click on the play button, you will still notice that the output is correct. It's going to be like for AAA, only one change is required. But what if we have something like AB? Okay. So over here, character which is there on the first index is B, character on the 0th index is A. They are not same. So this change should not happen, right? Like I don't really need to update count. Okay. So if they are not equal, meaning no change is required, and that time we will just increment the index with index plus 1. That's it. Okay. So over here, index is equal to index plus 1. Okay. None and dusted. So let's click on the play button. You will notice the output is 0 over here. Okay. But if I just change it to, let's say, ABC over here, again, all the 3 are basically the distinct characters. Okay. So if I'm going to click on the play button, no change required. If I make it AAAA, what is the minimum number of changes required? Of course, I need to make a change over here. Okay. I need to make a change over at the end, right? So 2 changes are required. So if you're going to have 4 characters which are same, and if you're going to click on the play button, the output should be 2 over here. So the bare minimum change which is going to be required for this particular string is going to be 2. All right. Now let's cross check over here. So if I was giving AB, the output should be 0. So let's try for AB. Save this. Click on the play button. You will notice the output is 0. If I'm going to give AAB, so 1 needs to be the output. So I'm just going to add AAB. Let's say this. 1 is the output. Next is ABBA. Okay, it's going to be ABB. Let's click on the play button. You will notice 1 change is popping up. And the next is this ABAB. So let's see, for ABAB, the output should be 0. right? Then the last one is A, B, triple A, B, A. A, B, triple A, B, A. If I just save this, click on the play button, okay, over here, I'm getting 1. Okay, that one change is going to be required. Okay, so only one change is required for A, B, triple A, B, A, not 0. I think I said 0 over there. A, B, triple A, B, A, only one change is required. Okay, so we are technically getting the output what we needed over here. But the thing over here is, instead of focusing on that entire array, I'm just focusing on one string at a time. Okay. So quickly write this particular code at your end, practice it off, because if you've done till here, right, then storing the result in the array as well as, like traversing from that string of arrays is not that difficult. I just want you guys to practice this code first at your end. Okay. Try to write it by yourself. Okay. And when you're writing, make sure that you're explaining the logic to yourself. That's more important. All right, guys. I hope you have written the code so far. Now is the basic simple thing that we need to do. The thing here is we don't have one word. Okay, we have an array of words, right? So we need to take care of all these chaps. Okay, so let me just copy this. Okay, and instead of creating one string, okay, I'm going to create the array of string, and this is going to be that data. So we can just create this chap quickly like this. Make sense? So over here, we created a string array, which is going to have all these string values. Now, the thing is, we are supposed to get the count also for the individual strings. Okay. So for AB, 0 should be printed. Then you should be having 1 for this, 1 for this, okay, and then 0 for this and 1 for this, right? So that result also, we will be storing it inside a integer array. So here I'm going to create a integer array result, okay, and here I'm going to say new int of 5. The reason I'm saying 5 over here is because we have 5 strings now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. But let's say in future, the data array is going to have more elements. Then what we can do? So instead of hard coding 5, I can say data.length. Taken care. Right? Now we are just supposed to traverse this particular array. That's it. So this is the entire logic, to be honest. This entire logic needs to be done again and again, again and again for all the string values which are there in that array. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this for, let's say, int w, okay, equal to 0. W is going to be less than data.length, okay, and then I'm going to say w plus plus. It's just a pointer, okay, and this entire stuff needs to be done. Okay, this entire stuff needs to be done. So over here, input over here was hard coded, right? We will just change it to data square bracket w. Finish. Rest all the code is exactly the same. Okay. Now let's save this. Right click, run as Java application 01101. If you look at the stuff, the output is 01101, right? But the output also needs to be stored in an array, right? That's the reason I was having result. So we will store the value of count. We will store the value of the count in result. So result of w equal to count. Okay. So on the respective index, okay, I will be getting the count of that respective word. So AB is on the 0th index. So result square bracket of 0, I'm going to have the minimum number of count. Okay. So that's all it is. And if I just go outside the for loop, I can literally print it in one line arrays dot to string of result. That's it. Finish. Click on the play button. 0 1 1 0 1 0 1 1 0 1. Okay, that's it. This was a pretty simple question, guys, actually. So please make sure that you practice it off pretty well. See, whenever you're solving the questions, right, your main focus should be to do it for a very specific string. Okay. The student over here probably would have faced the problem in building the logic because she might be thinking it from the entire array perspective. You just focus on one particular string. If it is working for this string, then cross-check for the other strings. Then just put inside it a loop. It should work. Okay, that's all I did over here. So that's it for this particular lecture, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Now I'm going to see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to mark your attendance. And in case of any doubts and queries, you know where to reach out to me. One thing, guys, if you have given your interviews recently, please share those questions with me. Okay, and I'll be happy to cover it off in this particular series. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.